cars. And then there are cars built to completely redefine what speed feels like. For decades, Aston Martin was known for elegance. Grand touring machines, beautiful silhouettes, cars that looked more at home outside a five-star hotel than on a Formula One circuit. But the Valhalla changes that story completely. This is not just another exotic supercar wearing an expensive badge. It's Aston Martin stepping into an entirely different world, a world dominated by hybrid hypercars, active aerodynamics, Formula One engineering, and performance numbers that were once impossible for a road car. And somehow, the Valhalla still manages to look unmistakably Aston Martin. The first time you see it, the proportions feel almost unreal. The body sits impossibly low to the ground. Air channels cut through the design like carved tunnels. Every curve has a purpose. Every vent exists because air itself has become part of the engineering. It doesn't look decorative. It looks engineered. Under bright city lights, the Valhalla feels elegant. But under sunlight, especially standing still against an empty desert road or outside a modern glass villa, it starts to feel aggressive in a completely different way. The car almost appears alive. Its front end sits sharp and focused, while the rear transforms into a sculpted aerodynamic weapon. Massive diffusers, carefully shaped vents, and active aero surfaces work together to generate downforce at high speeds without destroying the clean beauty Aston Martin is famous for. And that balance is what makes the Valhalla so fascinating. Most hypercars force you to choose between brutality and beauty. This car tries to deliver both. But the real story begins underneath the bodywork. Because this is one of the most technologically advanced road cars Aston Martin has ever attempted to build. At the center of the Valhalla sits a twin-turbocharged V8 engine paired with multiple electric motors, creating a hybrid system designed not only for straight-line speed, but for total performance precision. The numbers are staggering. Over 1,000 horsepower, a top speed beyond 200 miles per hour, acceleration that pushes the human body backward with the kind of force normally experienced in professional motorsport. But what matters more than the numbers is how the power feels. Modern hypercars often become clinical, too digital, too perfect. The Valhalla tries to keep emotion alive. When the engine ignites, there's still drama in the sound. Not artificial theater pumped through speakers, but mechanical intensity. The V8 growls with deep aggression, while the electric assistance fills the gaps instantly, creating a wave of acceleration that feels endless. There's no hesitation, no waiting, just immediate force. And yet, inside the cabin, the experience changes completely. You drop down into the driver's seat and suddenly the chaos outside disappears. The cockpit feels tightly focused, almost like a fighter jet designed for the road. Carbon fiber surrounds nearly every surface. Minimalism replaces unnecessary luxury clutter. But Aston Martin didn't abandon craftsmanship. The stitching still feels handmade. The materials still feel rich. The lighting still creates atmosphere rather than distraction. It's a very different interpretation of luxury. Not soft luxury, purposeful luxury. The steering wheel alone tells you this car belongs to a new generation. Inspired heavily by Formula One design, it removes anything unnecessary and places focus directly on driving. Digital displays remain clean and sharp without overwhelming the driver with visual noise. Everything feels intentional. Everything feels engineered around speed. And perhaps that's the most surprising part of the Valhalla. This car exists because Aston Martin knew the automotive world was changing faster than ever before. Luxury alone is no longer enough. Today's ultra-high-net-worth buyers want technology. They want exclusivity. They want race-derived engineering. And most importantly, they want experiences that feel impossible for ordinary cars to replicate. The Valhalla was built to answer that demand. Its development carries clear influence from Aston Martin's Formula One ambitions. Lessons from aerodynamics, lightweight engineering, cooling systems, and hybrid performance all found their way into the car. You can see it in the airflow management. You can feel it in the chassis response. And you especially notice it when the speed rises. At higher velocities, the Valhalla begins behaving less like a traditional supercar and more like a machine designed around stability and precision. The active aerodynamic systems continuously adjust themselves, helping the car remain planted while slicing through air with astonishing control. And that sensation creates something rare: confidence. Many hypercars feel intimidating. The Valhalla feels intelligent. It constantly works with the driver rather than against them. On a smooth mountain road, the car changes direction with shocking sharpness. The lightweight construction allows it to feel smaller than it actually is. The steering reacts instantly. The hybrid system distributes power aggressively but smoothly. And because electric motors respond immediately, corner exits feel explosive. You touch the throttle, and the scenery starts collapsing behind you. But perhaps the most luxurious part of the Valhalla isn't the speed. It's the exclusivity. Cars like this are not designed for mass production. They are created for a very small group of buyers who want something beyond transportation. For them, ownership becomes identity. The garage becomes a gallery. And the Valhalla fits perfectly into that world. Parked beside private aircraft, waterfront villas, or modern architectural estates, the car feels less like an automobile and more like industrial art. Even people who know nothing about performance cars immediately understand that they're looking at something extraordinary. Because presence cannot be manufactured artificially. Some vehicles simply command attention. And the Valhalla absolutely does. What makes the story even more interesting is Aston Martin's position in the hypercar market itself. The company entered a battlefield already filled with giants. Ferrari pushed hybrid technology forward with the SF90. McLaren continued refining lightweight performance philosophy. Lamborghini embraced aggressive electrification strategies. Rimac began redefining electric hypercar speed entirely. Competition became brutal. And yet Aston Martin chose not to copy anyone completely. Instead, the Valhalla attempts to combine emotional British design language with modern hybrid engineering in a way that still feels distinct. That's difficult to achieve in today's market. Most high-performance cars are becoming visually similar because aerodynamic efficiency pushes everyone toward the same solutions. But Aston Martin preserved elegance where many competitors chose only aggression. Even standing still, the Valhalla still has beauty. And beauty matters in this category. Because buyers at this level are not purchasing machines out of necessity. They already own multiple homes, multiple vehicles, sometimes even entire collections worth millions. Emotion becomes the deciding factor. And emotionally, the Valhalla delivers a very specific fantasy. It makes you imagine arriving somewhere extraordinary. A silent entrance through illuminated city streets. A sunrise drive along coastal highways. The glow of dashboard lighting reflecting across carbon fiber surfaces at midnight. The engine cooling quietly after a high-speed journey through empty desert roads. That emotional theater matters. Great luxury cars are remembered because of how they make people feel. Not simply because of horsepower figures. And Aston Martin understands that deeply. Still, none of this would matter if the car failed mechanically. Fortunately, the Valhalla represents one of the brand's most serious engineering efforts in decades. Lightweight materials reduce unnecessary mass. Advanced suspension systems help maintain stability under extreme loads. Hybrid integration improves both responsiveness and efficiency compared to older generations of supercars. It's not technology added for marketing purposes. It's technology built to improve the driving experience itself. And that distinction separates genuine innovation from expensive gimmicks. Of course, no hypercar exists without compromise. The low ride height demands attention over uneven roads. Visibility remains limited compared to ordinary vehicles. Maintenance and ownership costs will place the car far beyond reach for most people. But realism is not the purpose here. The Valhalla was never designed to be practical. It was designed to represent ambition, to prove Aston Martin could evolve without losing its soul. And in many ways, that may be its greatest achievement. Because creating a hybrid hypercar is no longer enough to shock the world. Creating one that still feels emotional, elegant, and unmistakably human is far more difficult. The Valhalla enters an era where performance numbers are becoming almost absurdly similar between brands. Everyone is fast now. Everyone has massive horsepower. But personality? That's much harder to engineer. And somehow, beneath all the technology, all the carbon fiber, all the aerodynamic complexity and hybrid systems, the Valhalla still feels personal. It still feels handcrafted. It still feels like an Aston Martin. And maybe that's exactly why the car matters. Not because it's the fastest, not because it's the most expensive, but because it represents a legendary luxury manufacturer trying to reinvent itself without abandoning the emotion that made people fall in love with the brand in the first place. In a world increasingly dominated by silent electric speed and digital perfection, the Valhalla reminds us that performance can still feel dramatic, still feel cinematic, still feel alive. And when the engine finally disappears into the distance, leaving behind only heat waves and fading sound, you realize something important. The future of the hypercar may be changing rapidly, but the desire for beauty, speed, and exclusivity, that remains timeless.